Hi everyone, it's Ricky, and I'm back this week with another card that I'm making with Sweet Stamp Shop's September stamp release. In this in this card video, we're going to be using Squad Ghouls, the stamp set that's going to be released in September. We're going to use a paper tray ink die, various distress inks for a galaxy nighttime background. We're going to use some black paper, some 110 Nina cardstock, and 80-pound cardstock. The first thing we're going to do is our galaxy background, and I'm not going to show you all the colors, but basically all the colors that you previously saw are going to go on this card. I'm not going to make you go through all of that because the video was way long to make this card. I'm just going to do two colors here, and then we're going to skip over into making it into a dark galaxy background. This is Blueprint Sketch. This is another distressed ink color, and when we skip over, you're going to see that there's yellows and purples and all that great stuff. So here comes the scary part. We're taking black soot and we're putting it on top of this cardstock, and I'm looking at this now and it looks like that maybe my ink pad's a little dry, but so I need to get that wet so we can use it better and not have to work so hard because my arm was really hurting after this. So what we do is we cover this up completely with black soot, but we're going to keep in the color. So you don't want to make it too dark. You want the color to show a little bit through this black. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to spray this with some water to give it like some stars look, or a Milky Way background kind of situation. You're going to let it sit there for about 20 to 30 seconds and dab it off with a towel. And that's how you're going to get this look. Next, what we're going to do is just use some white acrylic paint. I just have some stuff here that's from Dick Blick, and we're just going to put a small amount here on the glass mat. You don't need a lot of this because you're not going to use a lot of it on your card. Basically, I'm going to spray some water here and use a brush, and I think I spray a little more water because it's a little too thick. It's not coming off. So what you do is you take your brush and then you're just gonna splash it onto the cardstock and make it look like stars. Some spots were a little bigger than I care for, but that's okay. I continue to do this until I get some small specks on here as well. And then here I'm just showing you a close-up of what it looks like. I'm gonna set that off to the side to dry, and we're gonna move on to the cover plate for this. I decided to use this cover die to make it look like the witches that we're going to be doing are actually in the woods. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to die cut this out. I'm not going to show you how I do this. I do have a Gemini, and the sandwich is a little weird. I'm still getting used to it. But we're going to go ahead and get this cut out, and you'll see here when I remove this that it looks like trees. So we're going to get this cleaned up, and then we're going to move on over to getting the cover plate, or the tree covers on the galaxy background, just using some multi-purpose glue here from Tombow, and we're going to place this on top of the night sky, and then I'll place acrylic block on top of that to make it stick down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp out our witches, and what I like to do is rub my palm along new stamp sets just to kind of season them to make sure that the ink sticks to the stamp. And sometimes you'll need to double stamp these. This was actually a pretty good impression for this one. So what I always do, it's a habit for me, because when I'm Copic coloring, I usually tend to mess up and I need to start over, so I just go ahead and stamp out two of these right away so that I can make sure that I have an extra if I do mess up. Didn't get a good impression on that second one, so that's why I went ahead and redid it. And then here in a second you'll see that the impressions are pretty good on both. I end up only using one for this video. So we're going to start the Copic coloring, and I have to be really honest with you guys here. This is 8 times faster than what I actually colored this. So please don't feel like that you can color this fast. To actually color these 3 witches, it took me about 28 minutes. So I don't want there to be any kind of like like false narrative out there that it's like super quick and that you can do this, you know, in 3 minutes, because it's not the case. You'll see here that I go back and forth on this witch's hair because I wanted to do like a gray purple. And I think towards the end here I did get that effect. It just took me a while to get there. And then as you can see along the side of the cardstock, you'll see that I have all these little dots everywhere. And that's what I use as my palette to make sure that the colors are going to blend together and that I have the right colors to actually work. Now on this witch with the blonde hair, I actually messed up on this, and then I had to go in and save it with a brown marker and then using the Y19 to try to make it a little bit more golden, like a golden brown. Next, we're going to start on the dresses. Here I decided to use purples on this one. I used 3 different color purples, and basically I'm just doing some basic shading with these purples and then going back and forth between all the colors, just to making sure that they look even and they look okay. The middle witch, we're going to do some blues, and I stay in the same family. I use B91, B93, I think B95, okay, and maybe one darker than this, B97. And basically I went through here, added some shading, then went back through and did all the light colors, and then go back in, add the shading, and then use the light colors again to even all that out. Now I want to tell you that I'm also not a professional colorist here, so this is not a technique at all. It's just a whatever happens situation. What I decided to do with the light green is to tie that in with all the witches. So for 2 of the belts and the shirt for the one witch, the belt for the one witch, and then the lips for the other witch. And I'm just doing the same thing with the different greens here, just doing some shading and getting those out. I'm also using some browns to go ahead and color in this broom. I'll also bring in a darker color because I feel like there wasn't enough depth to this. So this is what's hardest for me when I'm Copic coloring, and I have to be very honest. Skin tones are really hard for me to do. You know, I just want to do them perfectly so that it's like, you know, white people or Caucasian people, they're easier to do than people of color, and a lot of people leave out people of color with these stamp sets. And I decided that I was going to do this. I was going to be a big boy, put on my big boy pants, and I was going to try people of color for these witches. And I'm very proud of myself, and I think they came out really, really well. And I'm just really proud of it, and I'm glad I was able to do it, because I do get really stressed about it sometimes. Not for any reason other than I want to make sure everyone's included, and that would be the only reason why. The next thing we're going to do is cut out the middle of the witches here. There is no die to do this, so I just take an X-Acto knife and cut this out myself. It takes a little time. Again, this is 8 times faster than what I did it at. But yeah, that's all that I did with that. And then I stuck it through my scan and cut, and this is where I had them cut out the sides, which this looks amazing. I love it. Next thing we're going to do is just play around with the card here to make sure everything looks okay. I decided I was going to do some heat embossing to put in the sentiment on this card. And this always makes me nervous because I had put the trees on before when I should have really tested it out to make sure this works. But the squad ghouls did work. The next thing I'm going to do is pour on some white powder and then make sure everything works there. Usually a lot of it gets stuck on the trees and I have to shovel it out with a brush. But the next thing we're going to do is cut out some foam tape here. It's self-adhesive. On one side, we're going to put it onto the base there for the tree. And then we're going to put some score tape on the back of this, and we can add it to the Nina cardstock panel. And then you'll see here it's hard for me to get this off sometimes, so I just skipped it because it was taking forever. You guys, this video, it took me about an hour and 20 minutes to actually make this card. So I want you to know that this is like super quick. I cut a bunch of stuff out that you didn't need to see. all that great stuff. So I'm going to get some 3M foam tape here, and I'm going to put these on the back of the witches. I show you on one. Magically, they're on all three when I go to place it on the card here. And then this is when this whole thing goes downhill. Decide to bring out my clear Wink of Stella. This is like a glittery covering that you can like put over items to make them look glittery. And my pen was being a little weird. I couldn't get it to come out very well, and it was starting to aggravate me a little bit. So I made sure it was clear. I put it on the scrap piece of paper and made sure it was working, and it just still wasn't working so well. And then here it is, slow down, bam, bam. Oh my god. That's my like slowed down voice of how I felt when that happened. And I tried to get it off. I tried to wipe it off. I tried to use water. The thing is you use water here, it starts to pill up your paper. So I couldn't save it that way any longer. I got as much as I could off of it and tried to do what I could with it to make it look better. After this video is done, I actually covered the whole thing, all of the witches and the glitter, and it looked a little better, and you will see that at the end of this video. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I know the video was really fast and the coloring was really fast, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys. And then here are the pictures of what I took. Here it kind of looks bad, but here it looks a little better. And the next photo it looks a little better. So, you know, even with our mistakes, we should accept them and move on. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Make sure you subscribe. Bye.